We're told high motivation enhances performance. The research proves this is false. High-intensity desire, what this file designates as hyperattachment, isn't a feature for goal acquisition. It's a critical system error that induces catastrophic failure. This is the governing dynamic. The literature calls it the law of reversed effort. And make no mistake, this isn't some philosophical platitude. It is a measurable, predictable behavioral phenomenon. So, what's the core malfunction? It's a fundamental miscalculation of system dynamics. The subject treats a complex adaptive social environment like it's a static object, something that will yield to brute force. But the system, by its very design, responds to force with equal or greater resistance. Hyperattachment isn't an asset, it's a critical flaw in the subject's operational model. Let's trace this failure to its origin. The entire cascade originates internally. It's a hardware malfunction in the subject's neurocognitive architecture. The system degrades long before any external contact is even made. The file is explicit on this. For simple physical tasks, sure, high arousal is a benefit. But for complex social tasks, the ones that require nuance, empathy, strategic timing, think a high-stakes negotiation. The performance curve completely inverts. High stress degrades social acuity. It shifts resources away from the prefrontal cortex to the amygdala, away from the executive to the threat detector. This internal state of wanting it too much imposes what researchers Mulanithan and Schaefer define as a cognitive bandwidth tax. The mind involuntarily tunnels its focus onto the perceived lack, and this consumes the finite processing power required for executive control and fluid social intelligence. And this cognitive cost, it's been quantified. The research demonstrates that operating under a scarcity mindset reduces functional IQ by up to 13 points. This isn't a metaphor. The subject literally becomes cognitively impaired in the context of their goal, comparable to the effects of acute sleep deprivation. The hardware failure is specific, and it is catastrophic. Key neural networks, the ones responsible for strategic foresight, emotional regulation, and even social motorics, are systematically degraded. The data is unequivocal. Under the stress of hyperattachment, the subject's brain is neurologically incapable of executing a charismatic social performance. They choke at the hardware level. So you have an internal neurocognitive failure. The next stage is transmission. This internal error is then broadcast externally through behavioral channels. The error now becomes an external liability, manifesting as a corrupt signal of low market value. In game theory, desperation is actually a mathematical variable. It's the discount factor, or delta. Hyperattachment manifests as a critically low delta. This means the subject heavily discounts future rewards just for immediate gratification. They need the deal now to regain emotional homeostasis, which broadcasts crippling impatience and strategic weakness. The strategic implication here is absolute. The agent with the higher discount factor, the patient one, is the one who captures the surplus value. Patience signals a high-value asset with options. Desperation signals a bad investment, one that's vulnerable to exploitation. The pursuit behavior itself systematically lowers the asset's price. The signaling matrix confirms it. Behavior directly dictates market value. Overavailability signals zero opportunity cost, classifying the subject as a commodity. Overinitiation signals a distressed asset. In every single interaction, the subject's own neediness systematically collapses their valuation. And this is where the failure mode becomes interactive. The subject's low-value pursuit behaviors trigger a catastrophic withdrawal response in the target. This creates a self-reinforcing feedback loop. This is where the system dynamics become truly catastrophic. Here's the causal link. It's called psychological reactance. The target perceives the subject's pursuit behaviors, the monitoring, the demands for certainty, not as affection, but as a direct threat to their autonomy. The response, then, is not engagement. It's an instinctive act to restore freedom, which manifests as withdrawal. Meanwhile, the subject's internal state is redlining. Gottman's research identifies the flooding threshold at a heart rate exceeding 100 beats per minute. At this level of physiological arousal, the subject loses access to their cortex. Logic, humor, empathy, they're offline. All that's left are primitive defense mechanisms. The resulting feedback loop is predictable, and it escalates with terrifying speed. Stage 1. The subject seeks reassurance. The target perceives an intrusion and delays their response. Stage 2. Escalation. The subject experiences abandonment panic. The target withdraws even further to create space. Stage 3. Protest. The subject issues ultimatums. The target stonewalls, which just confirms the subject's instability. And finally, stage 4, collapse. The subject sabotages the interaction. The deal is terminated. The very act of trying to save the deal guarantees its destruction. This concludes the forensic analysis. And the final verdict is undiplomatic, but accuracy requires it. The system failure is, in fact, not a failure. The dynamics we've observed are not a bug. They are the system's primary feature. What we're witnessing is a brutally efficient mechanism designed to identify and reject low-value, high-risk, and unstable agents. The repulsion is the correct output. The system is functioning perfectly. It is designed to equate desperation with low status. It punishes neediness with withdrawal. And that is why hyperattachment guarantees failure. The system is designed to make it fail. End log.